Exodus 32 and 33, and we'll look at a couple of verses there, and then we will sing, and then we'll pray. As we're looking at this passage, I have a question. It's a question we asked at our men's prayer meeting yesterday morning, and the question is this. When you think of the things that we lay before the Lord on a Sunday morning together, how much of it is optional and how much of it is essential? Because I think when I look at my own prayer life, that there are a lot of things that I bring to the Lord and I view them somewhat as optional, so we pray and we hope, or, we expect. But if God does not respond, it was optional anyway. And then there are other times where things are not optional. And where do you draw the line? Yourself. Where do we draw the line as a church? What's optional? What's essential? I do think that a lot of Sunday morning praying comes across, in my opinion, as optional. We're supposed to pray on Sunday morning. That's our schedule. And we say things that are appropriate. We don't have people that stand up and pray things that are just wild out there, where we have to say, that's not actually the way God is. That's not the way we talk to God. And I don't mean to judge motives, but I think that as a whole, a corporate prayer meeting can easily become a thing that is good, and things that we say are right, but we see them as optional. And the reason I think that is because there are some times where things are not optional and it's obvious. We've had so many families in the church who have gotten pretty frightening news from doctors in the last couple years. And if you ask them, 3 years ago, how did you pray? How do you pray today? And usually our felt need, so when we feel things are desperate, prayers go from optional to essential. God, you've got to hear this. Sometimes our longing for the Lord is different. There is a love for God. And when our love for the Lord is vibrant and healthy, you can tell that your own prayers, my prayers, our prayers together, they go from kind of optional to essential. I think optional praying at a time like this together is generally a waste of time, It can be more about us than God. But I want us to look at Moses' prayers. And there are a few things that are essential. And when it looks as if God is not intending to pay attention to Moses' prayer, Moses makes it clear this is essential. It's not optional. And the reason is not merely because of their need. That's part of it. Not merely because of Moses' love for the Lord, but there is also mixed in with all of this the awareness that God's name is attached. And so it is not optional. In Exodus 32, Moses is on the mount, and as he's coming down from the mount, God explains that what's going on in the camp as God is meeting with Moses for those 40 days is that Aaron has given in to the desire of the people, and they are worshiping an idol. Right out of the chute, as soon as they're in the promised land, they worship an idol. And Aaron makes the idol for them, and Aaron, excuses himself. You know what kind of people these are, Aaron says. I put the gold into the fire, and out came a calf. I mean, when you read it, you think that can't be what Aaron said, but it is. So, Moses goes down and, Moses pleads with the Lord in Exodus 32. Look at verse 11. God is going, in verse 10, he says, let me alone, leave me alone, that my anger may burn against them, that I may destroy them, and I will make of you a great nation. We'll start over. You're a child of Abraham. All the promises could be kept. I brought them out of Egypt. They immediately worshiped a false god. I will destroy them, and you will become the one that carries on the line. Verse 11, then Moses entreated the Lord his God and said, O Lord, why does your anger burn against your people, whom you have brought from the land of Egypt with a great power and a mighty hand? Why should the Egyptians speak, saying, with evil intent he brought them out to kill them in the mountains and to destroy them from the face of the earth? Turn from your burning anger and change your mind about doing harm to your people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, your servants, to whom you swore by yourself and said to them, I will multiply your descendants as the stars of the heavens, and all this land of which I have spoken I will give to your descendants, and they shall inherit it forever. So the Lord changed his mind about the harm which he said he would do to his people. So Moses pleads, and it is not optional. Hundreds of thousands of lives are on the line. They deserve death. Don't give it to them. What will the world say about you? As things go on, Moses sees what they've done, and he deals with it, and many Jews die that day for worshiping the calf, and Moses goes and pleads again with God. And in Exodus 33, verse 12, we read that Moses' intercession continues. Now, what God has said in between 32 and 33:12 is this: I won't kill the people, but I won't go with them. I won't be in your midst like I was. I will not be at the heart of your religion because you are such an obstinate people. I would destroy you. So I'm going to send an angel to guide you. And Moses pleads again. Then Moses said, verse 12, to the Lord, see, you say to me, bring up this people, but you yourself have not let me know whom you will send with me. Moreover, you have said, I have known you by name, and you have found favor in my sight. Now, therefore, I pray you, if I have found favor in your sight, let me know your ways, that I may know you, so that I may find favor in your sight. Consider, too, that this nation is your people. And he, God, said, my presence shall go with you, and I will give you rest. Then he, Moses, said to him, if your presence does not go with us, do not lead us up from here. For how then can it be known that I have found favor in your sight, I and your people? Is it not by your going with us, so that I and your people, may be distinguished from the other people who are upon the face of the earth? So Moses' argument is clear. It's not optional. If you're not going with us, if you're just going to send an angel, then we're not moving. It reminds us of Amy Carmichael's famous statement to the missionaries in India with her. All we really want, all we really need is God's ungrieved presence with us always. Early American preacher Samuel Davies, that is considered perhaps the greatest preacher ever in American history, preached a series of sermons on this, the distinguishing mark of the people of God, that God is with them, not just covenantally, experientially, and in a way that the world can see. And so, in his day, they pleaded that God would be with them, that they would know more of his presence, so much that the world could see the change that it brought. Now, Moses goes on in verse 17. God answers Moses' other aspect of his prayer, and Moses prays it again in verse 18. He talks about, but what about Moses? He wants to know God better. Verse 17. The Lord said to Moses, I will also do this thing of which you have spoken, for you have found favor in my sight, and I have known you by name." Then Moses said, "I pray you, show me your glory." This is where I think Moses just shines. Yes, he is like Christ in pleading on behalf of the people that are a people that have given him nothing but grief up to this point, and pretty much grief for the next 40 years. And Moses will not be satisfied with an angel. He wants God with them. And it's God's reputation he's concerned about. But this one, he will not stop. He doesn't stop short of asking for everything. And he says, "Will you let me know you? Will you show me your glory?"